So I've got answers to loads of the questions that you guys sent me on Instagram. Thanks for sending them all through. The Bicycle Society has had a question: what one change would you like to see to e-bikes? I'd like to have some kind of confidence that when you buy a bike, that in a few years you can upgrade it, like the motor and the battery, much like you can with drivetrains. So if you've got a bike now a regular pedal bike that came out 8 years ago, you could probably still put SRAM Axis wireless derailleurs on it, brand new drivetrains and new forks. I don't see that happening so much with motors and batteries. It's almost after a few years, because the technology is moving at such a rapid pace and they all work individually, that there's a risk that in a few years' time, if a new motor comes out, you won't be able to fit that to your bike, and I think that sucks. I'd really like to see some kind of standard. This is a real loose standard, but you know the SRAM universal derailleur hanger is going on almost all bikes right now, and it's a standard hanger, and it means if you break the hanger, you can just get this standard one and it's the same fit on all bikes. I'd like to see something like that for motor mounts. So you could take delivery of your new e-bike tomorrow, and in 5 years, when a newer version of the motor that you're using comes out, you can slot that in and upgrade it. That's what I'd really like to see. Tom22P has said, give us an update on the Trek Rail. I've got a Rail 7 and have a Zeb on the way. Yeah, the Rail is brilliant. It rides fantastic. Personally, I bought the Trek Rail 5 because I had loads of parts from just test bits and pieces, so I built up a different version of it. The way it rides is superb. The Bosch motor is super punchy. It's still got a few things that I don't quite like the Bosch kiosk display looks a bit old school, but the way the bike rides is outstanding. Joe Allen has said, would you ride an e-road bike and do a video on it? I did actually ride an e-road bike. I rode the Creo, Specialized Creo. I kind of liked it, and I actually had a Creo. I bought a Creo, but I didn't really. It was a gravel version. I don't know, I just didn't. I rode it, honestly, I rode it once, and then it was sat in my lockup for a while, and I kind of just, I don't know, just it was a bit too boring for me. I like the kind of adrenaline side that you get from off-road mountain biking, and gravel and road just, I know a lot of people love it, but I just couldn't get into it personally, so probably not, Joe, to be honest with you. Raoul, hi Raoul, has asked, is there a new full power Kinivo on the way? I really hope so, because the Kinivo SL, the suspension on that, the geometry on it and the way it rides is just outstanding. And I said in my Kinivo SL video that I did that I wish the motor had a little bit more punch, a little bit more power. And if Specialized could make a 29er version of that Kinivo SL with the Kinivo SL kind of suspension platform, full power, I think that would be an outstanding bike. The problem I think they're going to have is with the suspension and the kind of A-frame that they've got, where the shock goes through the frame, and that motor down there is quite compact, so I don't know if they'll be able to recreate that with the full power Bros motor. I really hope so, because I love the Kinivo, and it'd be good to see a newer version of that with that kind of 29er revised geometry and a bit more like the Kinivo SL. Lisa Kamaka said, do I prefer riding in the Peak District or the Surrey Hills? The Peak District was brilliant. I only scratched the surface, and I'd like to get out there and do a little bit more riding. What did we do? Potato Alley, Hag Farm, the kind of standard classics I think that are in a lot of the routes, a lot of the magazine routes. But it was brilliant. I love the Surrey Hills, and you know when you ride somewhere all of the time and you kind of know, I don't know all of it, but I know most of the good stuff there. But you know, you kind of get used to the terrain and where the little jumps are and the little technical sections, and you can really enjoy the ride. So yeah, I love the Surrey Hills. I genuinely think it's one of the best places in the world to ride, just because it's short, sharp trails, a great community. Yeah, it's brilliant. So sorry, I'm gonna have to say the Surrey Hills. Laura EMTB has said, best trail snack, Haribo or vegan sausage rolls? I think Haribo for a quick hit. isn't it? I think if you really need that sugar, you can't beat a good Haribo. Laura has also asked a follow-up question. How many times have you broken your drone? How many times has John kicked your camera bag? We've crashed the drone like 4 or 5 times maybe. I've totally destroyed 2 of them, but it just is part of what comes with filming mountain bikes. And I think with mountain bike filming, you're in the forest and there's always like trees and obstacles and whatever in the way, and it's trying to track the drone is flying and it's trying to track a mountain bike essentially, and there's always going to be stuff that gets in the way. So yeah, we've smashed a few, and John hasn't kicked my camera bag since that drone episode, so just the once. Miguel Marquez has said mullet, 29er or 27.5. In my experience, I prefer mullet right now, because on an e-bike it helps bring the chainstay down slightly so you don't end up with like really long 460, 470 or 480 millimeter chainstays. It can be nice and compact. 29er at the front, I love the rollover that you get with the 29er. And I like the mullet. Yeah, I just think that it seems to work really well, especially on an e-bike, because you get the lower inertia from the slightly lower weight of the back wheel, can make it a little bit more compact. Personally, I don't have an issue on a 29er with like arse buzz, you know, when the back tyre hits your butt, but I know a fair few people do, so I think the mullet would suit those folks a little bit better as well. 29er I'm happy on, but I can notice the back end with the mullet definitely just seems to tuck in and turn around the corner, and you can feel it move in quicker compared to a 29er. That being said, I do think the 29 front and rear just can plow through anything a little bit easier than a mullet. So for all out descending speed, the 29er is probably the faster and more stable. But for real world riding, where you take corners on most of the trails that we do, and that feeling that a mullet can give to the rider, I do prefer that. And I do prefer, yeah, the more compact rear end. So I think that's a great option. FNZ has said, what did you do for a living before you became a YouTube? And they've put celebrity. I wouldn't agree with being a YouTube celebrity. But I worked in technology. I worked for Apple for about 7 years on the retail side, and before that worked in like mobile telecommunications. Yeah, just kind of thought I would try something a little bit different and challenge myself and feel uncomfortable and go into an industry that I'd never experienced before. So I always liked like the technology side and biking, so those with e-bikes kind of started to come together, and I saw this technology that I thought there's something in that. Things are changing quite quickly, and I thought I'm just going to give it a go. Like, I think that you've got to take risks or leaps of faith in life sometimes, so that's why I did it. Russ10122 has said, do you still have the Stylus? This was the decathlon Stylus, the super cheap £2,700 full suspension Bosch based electric mountain bike. No, I don't. I've sold that, but I really wanted to understand what that bike was like. That's why I bought it from Decathlon, and I still do think that represented an amazing e-bike for the money. And like, the price has gone up now, it's like 3,400 or something, but I really enjoyed playing around on that bike, and yeah, so no, I don't have that one sadly. Kobe263 has said, how loud is the rattling noise from the Orbe Rise compared to in the Bosch CX motor? I did a motor test video and compared some of the noises from the motors, because they all make noises. Some of them are quiet going up and some of them are quiet going down, and some of them are kind of noisy on both. But the Shimano, of all the bikes that I've ridden, is the noisiest in terms of the rattling, and it's the gear mesh inside the motor. So essentially it's when the gears aren't completely aligned and you're freewheeling. Think of it as like cogs, and there's a bit of, it's called backlash, and they're kind of just rattling against each other. The Orbe Rise, like pretty much all the Shimano bikes, to me, are the loudest in terms of the rattle. Don't let it put you off buying an e-bike, because you do tune out to it. Honestly, there's been times where when you start riding a bike, you get used to the noises. So you can notice it definitely if you back-to-back test. So if I rode a Levo and a Shimano EP8 based bike like the Orbe Rise, you can hear the clattering straight away. But after a week's worth of riding, it's there, but you don't pick up on it so much. So I wouldn't let it stop you purchasing a bike, but it is there. But in my experience, the Shimano EP8 rattles, or I can hear it louder than the Bosch. That being said, some people can barely notice it at all on some of their bikes. So I think it all depends on the frame, the material, the resonance, and how much tolerance you have to it. Some people don't notice it at all, even though it's there. So yeah, hope that answers that question. AdHat1 has said, what drone are you using for your videos? Keep the adventure vids going. Thanks for that. We love doing that adventure vid in Scotland where we use the drone a lot. We actually use a couple. We use the Skydio 2, which is fantastic at tracking. It's like just an autonomous drone that can pick a target and follow it pretty much like automatically all the way from the top of a mountain to the bottom. It is outstanding. We also use the DJI Mavic Zoom. It seems to me to get some really nice static shots, time lapses. So we use a combination of those two. J8 Miller has said, can I come to your workshop / film set? Yeah, man, come in. We should do some kind of meet up, like get some beers in, have a ride maybe before, and then yeah, you can definitely come down, mate. Send me a message on Instagram and we'll organise it. OJ MTB 13 has said, how long have you been riding for? I'm 40 now, on and off 32 years. Not at any kind of professional level, just like as a kid, just social riding, getting to mates' houses and stuff. And then left school and didn't ride as much as things happen. Like you kind of get into different things when you're that age, or I did anyway. And then got back into bikes in like early to mid 20s again. Jay Sadler 1990, love your channel, dude. Best shock to run on an e-bike, coil or air? Thanks, Jay Sadler. I really like the coil shocks. I just love the sensitivity that they give, especially on an e-bike where you're carrying the extra weight. They just work really well. It's not for everybody. Some people like the pop, the kind of the poppiness that you get from an air shock, and you can tell the difference, certainly. But I think with a coil, the sensitivity of the coil means it can break away so easily. It hardly requires any force to allow it to break away. So if you're smashing it down a trail, that back tyre is just gliding over the terrain, and what that means is you end up getting a superb amount of grip on the rear, and I find them a bit more comfortable. So personally, I love a coil, but not all bikes are suitable for coil shocks because the leverage ratio of the rear isn't progressive enough. So it's not for every bike, but where a bike can take a coil, I really do like it. Adam Smith 1986 has said, any update on the Orbe Rise with the range extender? Yes. I'm taking it to, I'm looking over there because it's just being prepared now, because I'm taking it to do a range test with a range extender really soon. That video will come out in the next week or so, but I've been testing it and the range at the moment has been really good. I'm actually really surprised with the range that you get from the Rise, but with the range extender, I'm hoping for like some outstanding results. So watch your space, that's coming really soon. Shane Kernan has said, first e-bike incoming, will I ever ride my Enduro again after my Kinivo SL shows up? Probably not. Like the Kinivo SL is basically the Enduro with a motor. So I don't know why you'd want to punish yourself and ride without a motor. You can just turn the Kinivo SL off, I guess. But I had a regular pedal bike for about a year after I got my first e-bike, and I thought I'm definitely going to keep it because I'll go out and sometimes I won't want to ride an e-bike. And I rode it once and I was like, this is boring. This is like after you're used to riding an e-bike and having that motor and being able to ride further than you've ever ridden before perhaps, and just having that extra bit of motivation that an e-bike gives you, I was like, nah. And I sold it I sold it because there was still some value left in it. Yeah, I'm sorry, Shane. It looks like that Enduro might not get a lot of love after you get your Kinivo SL. So sell it if there's some money left in it, and use the money to go on a bike trip and go on a holiday or something like that. That's what I'd try and do. Eugene HC has said, what is the best coil shock for the Trek Rail 9.8? Now, not all coil shocks fit in the Trek Rail because of the reservoir, depending on the frame size as well, because the way the Trek Rail rear linkage kind of works, it slightly pushes the shock forward on compression. So I'm pretty certain that the DVO coil shock works. There's a thread in EMTB forums where loads of people have got this same question, and I'll link it down below. But I know a lot of people have moved to a coil on a rail. Certain coils fit, certain coils don't. It all depends on the reservoir and how big or how long that reservoir is on the coil. But I'll link it down below, so check it out, because loads of people have had that same thought process, and a lot of people have done it, and they'll share their experiences in that thread. So good question. Isidro Rocheres has said, Forrestal Sirion versus Kinivo SL. This is going to be a comparison, isn't it? This is going to be, yeah, two brand new bikes. Forrestal Sirion with the Fang motor, 170mm travel, versus the Kinivo SL 170 travel. But if you look on paper, the Forrestal Sirion has this 60 Nm motor. So the SL has a 35 Nm motor. So statistic, if you look at the stats, like the Forrestal looks like it's, yeah, carrying some punch behind it. On paper, the Sirion looks really good. Definitely something that I want to test. That would be a really good video, wouldn't it? A back-to-back, the Kinivo SL versus the Forrestal Sirion. Hopefully we'll see some ride reports out at some point soon. Mark has said, what innovations do you see coming in the next years for e-bikes? So, yeah, I think that we're at this point now with the battery technology and the motor technology that it's going to be marginal gains. I think we've seen some massive leaps over the past 5 years with the batteries and the motors. They've become way more powerful, more refined, more compact and more lightweight. And the battery technology has progressed, but there's only so much energy density you can get into these cells. So I don't think we're going to see huge differences in battery technology in the next few years. Maybe we might see some like 10% increases if they can cram any more density into those cells. I think on the bikes, it's going to be the integration and the customization. So I think that we're seeing it with a lot of brands now have much neater looking e-bikes. All the stuff is now integrated in the frames. I think that will continue. I think more brands will have a better user interface. I think Specialized have done a really great job on that, and I think we'll see more and more manufacturers follow suit, because it does make a difference to the overall experience. I think the smart stuff like the apps will become better. Wouldn't it be great if you could look for a route online, press a button, it downloads it, sends it to your bike remotely, there's a little display on your bike, and it just gives you an arrow of where to follow on the trail that you go in. I think that user experience and that technology side coming together into the bike is what we're going to see, or I'm hoping we will see, because it's a little bit disjointed at the moment. It's a little bit not quite there, and I think like it could be better. So basically all the things that we can get from our phone, like tracking, sat nav, GPS, internet, you can find your devices like with Find My iPhone and those kind of things. I'm hoping we see that integrated into bikes, because really there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do that. So VNN has said, thoughts on the new e-bike from Pole. It looks amazing, man, doesn't it? It looks so good. I've done a video, just a preview video on that. To me, I think long travel e-bikes just make sense. So yeah, that 190mm Polevoymer looks fantastic, and I'm so excited to try that out in the future. Eat My Shorts has said, as a novice 43-year-old EMTB rider, what is the best advice you can give me to get the most out of my bike? Okay, so here's some key things. To get the most out of your ride, make sure the suspension is set up for you. There's loads of videos that people have done for suspension setup. Make sure your tyres are correct and your tyre pressure is right. That's really all you need to do to get the most out of it. Once it's set up right for you, I think that's the most important thing, and that will allow you to get the most out of it. And then find people to ride with. Ride it with people that have been riding for a little while, because they'll be able to give you some tips and some pointers. Make sure you got the right tyres for what you ride. Don't get something super heavy and draggy, or don't get something that's got no grip but super light. Go on and join some of the groups, some of the Facebook groups or EMTB forums, and kind of just see what other people are doing with their bikes and their rides. But yeah, just try and get involved with more people that ride bikes, and try and involve yourself with some of the local rides. And personally, I found that when I ride with people that are more experienced and more skilled than I am, I develop as a rider, because they give me some tips and they say, hey, try doing that line there, or try moving your body to this position, and it can help you. They basically give you some coaching on the trail. So yeah, that would be good as well. Mikey Jones MTB has said, personal thoughts on specialized pricing structure. Yeah, man, they're a lot of money. They're a serious amount of cash. They're expensive, but they make outstanding e-bikes. And I think that they do have a place in the market. People buy them. People spend a lot of money on lots of things: watches, shoes, cars, e-bikes. So yeah, they're expensive, but I do think that they're putting so much R&D into these bikes. They're coming up with their own software, their own integration, their own systems. But yeah, they're a serious amount of cash, but you get a very, very good product for it. Is it worth the money you spend? That's down to the individual, isn't it? I guess you're spending a lot of money, but is it something you're passionate about, you love, you really enjoy? I think a lot of people judge value in different ways, like the value of the experiences it gives you versus the cash that you've put down. Yeah, it's a very individual thing, but yeah, no doubt that they are expensive. You don't need to spend £8,000, £13,000 to have a great time on a bike. You can do it I did it on the Decathlon Stylus, which was under £3,000. But, you know, if you want something that is super premium, that comes with a very well put together package, that it is a lot of money. I do wish the barrier to entry for that particular bike wasn't like so high. It's a lot of money. So that's my personal opinion on it. It's expensive. Thomas Edward has said, will an e-bike improve corners? Not necessarily. I don't think it will. You get a lot of stability rolling over gnarly rocks, massive stuff, jumps, because of the weight of the e-bike. In the corners, I don't necessarily think it helps. You've got more weight behind you, and you need to use your body weight a little bit more to maneuver the bike. And I've certainly noticed when riding the Kinivo SL and the Orbe Rise that they corner so quick, they change direction really quick. White8533 has said, will you mullet out the Orbe Rise? I really want to do a project on the Orbe Rise, if Orbe will let me. I want to slacken out the front a little bit. I might try an angle set. Works do these cool angle set headset reducers, so you can reduce the head angle. I'd like to try that and maybe mullet it, and maybe put a coil in it, maybe increase the travel, make an enduro version of it. So yeah, I think I'm going to try that. So Ryan101 has said, best value or bang for buck e-bike. I think the Marin Alpine Trail, the Focus Jam Squared, and the Nuke Proof. The Nuke Proof Mega. They're three examples of like amazing, really good bikes that are at a really, really good price. And I think bang for buck, that's the kind of sweet spot. Those brands are really achieving that. Ellard EMTB 91 has said, do you approach brands or do they approach you? At the beginning, like, I sent emails to almost everybody, and like probably one or two people replied from the brands. But now, yeah, mostly the brands email me or reach out, which is super cool. Like, so lucky to be able to work with the brands on some of the videos. Ellard EMTB 91 has also said, who is the easiest brand to work with? They're all really super easy, chilled people. There's I wouldn't say anyone's easier. They all, in my experience with working with the mountain bike brands, they are all super passionate about riding bikes and really passionate about the product. So there's no one that I've met or any brand that has been difficult. I think they're all like us, mountain bike fans, and like riding bikes, so they're all pretty cool people. GI1986 has said, have you tried the Scott Ransom e-ride? Any feedback? I haven't tried it, but everyone that has tried it has great things to say about it, and I'd love to give it a go one day. Ryan101 has said, budget allows only one bike, lightweight, lower power, or heavyweight and more power? Easy. Heavyweight. and more power for me any day. I love riding e-bikes for the fact that they make you feel superhuman, and I love just blasting along even if it's on the flat. And yeah, I would never personally give up a full power e-bike and have just a lightweight e-bike. It would just be full power for me. Not everyone's the same, that's just my personal opinion. Some people don't like the full fat, prefer the lower powered, but yeah, I'd take more power if it was available. HTD84 says, how hard is it to cut your videos? Are there a lot of deleted scenes? Loads, like so many. Like even this, I'll read the question and I'll screw it up and then I'll have to cut it out. Everything you see on YouTube pretty much, or TV, there's always many takes. And on the video edits, like sometimes the camera angle's wrong, or it's out of focus, or I've messed up a line and it looks rubbish. So to give you an idea, the bike edits that we do when a new bike's launched and it's a partnership with a brand take around 100 hours to make one like 12-minute video, which is ridiculous really. But that's like getting the bike delivered, getting it set up, going for test rides, understanding it, traveling to the location, doing the multiple days of filming, editing. And there's not just me, there's me and John, the bike pilot, who does all the filming. So it's a lot of like hours that go into it. And yes, there's many, they're not even deleted scenes. They weren't even scenes because they were so bad. They just like delete straight away. This is going to need to be a two-parter because I've not even made it halfway through these questions. So the final question from Mad Dunners is, you've had your van for a while now to support biking. Good choice. Any issues? I love my van. It's a Volkswagen T6 Transporter. It's a brilliant family wagon. It's a combi, so it's got seats in the back as well. And it's amazing. And I love it because when you put the bikes in, I just wheel it straight in, close the door. I've got tinted windows so no one can see from outside what's inside. And it's just, yeah, I am always going to own a van, and probably always a VW Transporter because they're brilliant. That's it for now. Thanks for sending your questions on Instagram. There's a load more that I haven't got to, but I will do another video on these, so I will see you soon.